Some jobs are dangerous, others are boring, but sometimes people show up for a normal shift and end up experiencing something they'll never forget. Everything you're about to hear happened to real people while they were simply doing their jobs. And the scariest part? None of them expected it. If you enjoy true horror stories, make sure you're subscribed because I post new terrifying stories every week. Now turn off the lights and let's begin. In 2015, a night janitor working in an elementary school in Oklahoma shared an experience that still disturbs him years later. His shift started at 11 p.m. The building would be completely empty by then. Teachers had gone home, students were long gone, and the only sounds were usually the hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional creak of the old building. For months, everything was normal. Then one night, he heard footsteps. At first, he assumed another staff member had stayed late. The footsteps sounded distant. He called out. No answer. The footsteps stopped. Thinking nothing of it, he continued cleaning, coming from somewhere down a hallway. A few minutes later, the footsteps returned. This time, they sounded closer. Slow, deliberate, like someone was walking toward him. He stepped into the hallway. Nobody was there. The entire corridor was empty. Every classroom door was locked. The janitor checked the security system. No alarms, no signs of intrusion. So he went back to work. Then came the sound that made his stomach drop. A child laughing. A small child coming from one of the classrooms. The school had been empty for hours. He stood frozen. The laughter lasted only a few seconds. Then silence. Gathering his courage, he unlocked the classroom and searched every corner. Nothing. No one. He finished his shift shaken, but convinced there had to be an explanation. The next night, it happened again. Footsteps, then laughter, then silence. Eventually, he reported it to the school's administration. One older employee listened quietly before saying something strange. Years earlier, a young student had reportedly died after suffering a medical emergency during school hours. The classroom where the laughter seemed to come from was the same room the child had taken. The janitor quit not long after. To this day, he refuses to work overnight in schools because some buildings don't feel empty. If you've ever worked a night shift, comment the creepiest thing you've experienced on the job. Some of the stories people share are honestly more terrifying than anything in horror movies. A security guard working in an office complex in Texas thought he had the easiest job in the world. The building was closed overnight. His responsibilities were simple. Monitor cameras, walk the property, report anything unusual. Most nights, nothing happened. Then one rainy evening changed everything. At around 2:30 a.m., he noticed movement on one of the security cameras. A person appeared in the parking lot. The guard leaned closer to the monitor. Something wasn't right. The figure wasn't moving like a normal person. Instead of walking naturally, it seemed to jerk forward in strange motions, almost as if frames were missing. Assuming it was a camera glitch, he switched to another angle. The figure appeared there too, standing completely still, facing directly toward the camera. The guard grabbed a flashlight and headed outside. Rain poured down as he searched the lot. Nothing. No person. No footprints. Nobody. Confused, he returned to the security office. The figure was still on the screen, standing in exactly the same position. Watching, the guard zoomed in. His blood ran cold. The face appeared unnaturally pale. The eyes looked completely black. Before he could react, the camera feed suddenly cut to static. Then another camera went offline. Then another, one by one, until every outdoor camera was dead. Now, genuinely frightened, he locked the security office door. For nearly 20 minutes, he sat there waiting. Then the cameras came back online. Every single one. The parking lot was empty. Nothing appeared unusual. The next morning, he reviewed the recorded footage. The figure was gone, completely absent. According to the recordings, the parking lot had remained empty all night. Yet he clearly remembered watching it. The cameras showed no evidence, no glitches, nothing. The guard eventually transferred to a different location. Years later, he still insists he saw someone or something standing in that parking lot, waiting, watching, and somehow disappearing without a trace. The final story comes from a delivery driver who worked long rural routes through heavily wooded areas. One winter evening, he was running behind schedule. The sun had already set. Darkness covered the roads. His GPS directed him toward an isolated house miles away from the nearest town. The road grew narrower. Trees surrounded both sides. Eventually, he reached the address, or what he thought was the address. The house looked abandoned. No lights, no cars, no signs of life. Still, the delivery instructions said to leave the package on the front porch. So he grabbed the box and walked toward the house. Halfway there, he noticed movement inside. A shadow. Someone was standing behind a window, watching him. The driver stopped. The figure didn't move. Didn't wave, didn't blink, just stood there. He quickly left the package and headed back to his van. As he reached the driver's seat, curiosity got the better of him. He looked back. The figure was gone. Relieved, he started the engine. Then his phone rang. It was dispatch. They sounded confused. The address he had just visited didn't exist. There had been a GPS error. The real destination was several miles away. The driver stared at the abandoned house. A chill ran through him. If nobody lived there, who had been standing in the window? Try not to think about it. He drove away. Then he glanced into his side mirror and nearly crashed. A person was standing in the middle of the road behind him, completely motionless, watching his vehicle disappear into the darkness. The driver never returned to that area, and according to local residents, the house had supposedly been abandoned for decades. Most people go to work expecting an ordinary day. They worry about deadlines, customers, meetings, deliveries, not unexplained footsteps, strange figures, or encounters they'll remember for the rest of their lives. But sometimes, the scariest stories happen in places we're supposed to feel safe. And that's what makes them so terrifying. If you enjoyed these true horror stories, hit the like button and subscribe for more scary stories every week. And if you want even more disturbing real-life encounters, check out the next video on your screen now. Until next time, stay safe and don't look behind.
Whatever you do,